All right, we're on campus here and at White Plains High School, and we want to thank S&H Waterproofing, as always, for all they do for high school sports throughout North Alabama. And at this time, we have Coach Smith in here at White Plains. And Coach, appreciate you doing this with us, and as always, thank S&H Waterproofing for sponsoring this show. But to have you on this year has been a pleasure. You and I talked a few minutes about your background. For those who don't know you, let's touch on that. Let's get rolling. Let's start off right there, and go ahead and intro yourself right now if you don't mind, Coach.
Okay. Well, this is my 23rd year as a head football coach. I went to high school at Clay County High School, played there for Coach Danny Horn. After high school, as I started college, I started helping coach with Coach Horn and his staff down at Clay County, and was there for 3 years under them, and experienced a lot of great things. Got to learn a lot of football from Coach Horn and his staff, and was very fortunate to be during a real good time at Clay County High School. We won 3 state championships in a row, had some really good teams. From there, I moved to Calhoun County, met my wife, and got married, and I was 21 years old, and got hired as the head football coach at Trinity Christian Academy, playing 8-man football, and they had just started a program, and so I was the head coach there for 3 years, and we won the 8-man state championship in 2000 at Trinity. After that, I got the head coaching job at Sachs High School. I was the head coach at Sachs for 7 years. After that, left Sachs High School in 2011 and started the head football coach at Jacksonville High School. So I was the head football coach at Jacksonville High School for 13 years, and then left Jacksonville this past year and was hired at White Plains. So this is my first year at White Plains. So 4th stop in the county. I've been very fortunate to spend my whole coaching career really in Calhoun County, which has been a blessing. 4 really good schools and great communities, and so yeah, this is where I'm at. I've been here for a few months, and getting ready to start the season.
Coach, you hit on so many things. I could go back through it. We could sit here for an hour talking about that. Coming up, obviously your background with Danny Horn, who's considered the greatest, or on Mount Rushmore. That's irrefutable. He's at least on Mount Rushmore or the greatest to ever do it in the state. But the takeaways, you could sit here for an hour and talk about that, but talk about that a little bit, and just how there's probably nothing you haven't seen, and you hit Clay County at the best time that they've ever had in their history. They only gave up 22 points in '94. You was part of that team there, but just talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think the biggest thing, I got to play for 4 years under Coach Horn and his staff, and as a player, one thing that I really took away from that is we didn't have any turnover within our coaching staff. We had the same guys that were there for a long time, and everything was consistent. There was consistency, there was stability, and that's, as a player, you knew what you were doing, and you got that same coaching, year after year. And then when I graduated, I knew I wanted to go into coaching, and Coach Horn asked me if I wanted to help and be part of the coaching staff, and then I got to transition into the coach's office. So I got to see the ins and outs of things, not just as a player.
Probably was a lot more clear for you.
Yeah, and you see the inner workings of things. And, once again, the 3 years that I spent helping them during that time, same coaches that coached me, just being able to see how they navigate through a Sunday, watching film, through practice schedules, through all the things, and just the consistency that they went about everything that they did. And so, that was big, just for me, from learning and just being able to observe all the things that, they were doing and that we were doing at a high level at that time at Clay County High School. And so, and just being a part of those 3 state championship teams, was a big deal in my career. Going through a 15-game season and then playing at the highest level. And so, that really taught me a lot, going into my head coaching career, in which I got my first head coaching job when I was 21 at Trinity Christian Academy. And, just took a lot of the things that I learned from those guys into that. And, there was a lot that we couldn't do because our talent level, of course, was not what we had, but just the ideals, just the core beliefs of how to run a program, was really great for me. And getting a head coaching job at 21, I had to learn quick. I had to learn how to plan a travel game. Had to learn how to do eligibility. I had to learn to do all the things at such a young age, and which was good for me, as a coach, having to learn that quick. And then it just kind of, I guess catapulted into the Sachs job, and then to Jacksonville, and then down to here. So just learned an awful lot from those guys. Still keep in touch with most of them, and just a really good support for me over the years, and just a really good situation. Clay County was a great community. They supported their kids and their school, and so it was just a really good place, and I learned a lot to help me start my career.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned this is your fourth stint here in this county. This county is a very special place as well, a lot of tradition here. What was it that kind of led you over here to this White Plains job? Because I've always looked at this place as a sleeping giant right here. This is a beautiful campus here. You guys have got a lot of stuff going on. You just mentioned, off camera, some of the things you got going on, but just kind of what led you into this position you're in now?
Yeah, I was, every stint I've had as far as, head coach, and it's been a pretty good while. I was at Sachs for 7 years. I was at Jacksonville for 13. Now I'm coming over to White Plains. So I really enjoy the digging in, putting down roots, and building. And, that same consistency and stability that I grew up in and I was a part of at Clay County has been a big part of my career. Just being able to dig in and be somewhere for a while, build something, and just be a part of the community. I was there for 13 years at Jacksonville. We had a great run, 12 straight playoff appearances, played for a state championship in 2019, and just a great community, great kids. But I enjoy the building process. I enjoy that part of the game as far as coaching, because it's kind of the situation I've been in every stop that I've had. And so White Plains is a great community. They love their kids. They love their school. Reminds me a lot of Clay County as far as the community feel to it. We actually lived out here in White Plains for 10 or 12 years. My wife taught out here for 17 years, so we've always been connected with the community in a lot of ways, and had a lot of friends and everything. And so I just knew that it was time. It was time for a change, and the White Plains job came open, and I knew when it did that this is where I wanted to be, and very fortunate to be able to get this job and be able to bring a coaching staff with me. That's one thing that I've been able to have over the years that is very similar to what we had at Clay County. My offensive coordinator, Jameson Edwards, has been with me for 20 years.
That's trust.
Coach Albright, my defense coordinator, has been with me for 19.
That's awesome.
So, and then the other guys have been with me for a while too. So, just that consistency of those guys and the loyalty that they have, they're great coaches. Those guys would be great head coaches. And so, it's one of those things where, they're just loyal, and the trust that we have within each other as a staff, is a big deal. And so, just being able to have those guys with me has been a big blessing. And so just only been here a few months, so that we're still learning the kids. They're still learning us, but they have really bought in and done everything we've asked them to up to this point. And so, we look for bright things in the future here.
Man, that's awesome, Coach. And, man, you talk about in a day where a lot of people jump ship, to have guys like that as right-hand man is a blessing all in itself. When you arrived here, Coach, what were the first orders of business, so to speak, the things you said, hey, I'm here, I'm planting these roots? What was the first thing you got down to work with, and how's that look so far?
The biggest thing is building those relationships. I'm the seniors that I have this year, I'm their third head coach. And so, you know, it goes back to trying to build that trust, building the consistency, the stability for these guys. And so the first thing was building relationships with all the kids in the school and trying to increase our numbers, trying to get kids out that haven't been playing, or it's been a couple years
Recruiting
since
hallways.
they played. Right. You got to recruit your hallways. And, you know, we've been able to do that. You know, our numbers are good on our varsity, and, you know, our junior high is 7th and 8th grade, and we've got over 50 kids in our junior high program, and that's 2 grades. So that's really good, you know, as the future comes. I think the biggest key is getting those numbers out, especially at the younger levels, and keeping them out for, you know, the 6 years that they're in high school. You know, at Sachs, at Jacksonville, you know, we were able to get to the point where when kids graduated as seniors, they had been part of our program for 6 years.
Gotcha.
And so that's a big key for us, is getting those kids out, and not just getting them out, but keeping them out, you know, for the duration of their high school career. And so we've been able to do that, you know, with our numbers and getting some guys that hadn't played in a while, and really just building those relationships. You know, that's how you get things started, and that was a big focus area when we came in, and you know, I feel like we've been, you know, pretty successful with that up to this point.
Coach, catch us up to speed from when you hit the ground up until today. Well, what's that look like? I know we're tons of questions getting thrown at you, but we're trying to catch everybody up to speed on what the programs look like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were able to get kids out. We went through our summer program, had great attendance, great, you know, work ethic, everybody getting after it good.
That's a blessing.
And so, and then, you know, we're right here at the start of the season. And so, you know, just transitioning into that, and transitioning into really building that trust with them, getting to know them getting to know us, our coaching style, how we expect them to do things. There's so many things, you know, how to handle a game day, how to handle practice, how to handle all the things, you know, is just the biggest part right now of trying for them to get that. And so, you know, that's been really good. We've been very pleased with that, their effort, you know, and everything's new. They're learning a new offensive system. They're learning a new defensive system. And like I said, we're really, you know, we're only a month in, you know, to the season really almost. And so, you know, a lot of it's still new and we're still getting there. But that's just kind of where we're at right now. The buy-in's been great, but we're still in that process of learning each other and getting things put in.
Coach, what are some of the keys you got to have from these guys? I mean, like if a White Plains parent was watching this and they said, hey, man, what's he looking for in a player? What are some of the things that you got to have from these guys here?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just commitment to our team, commitment to our school. We want them to have pride in the name across their jersey. You know, that's being a small community. You know, the schools and the churches are really focal points of small communities. And so, you know, we want our kids to have pride in the White Plains name. We want them to be disciplined. We want them to do all the things that they're supposed to do as being well-rounded. We encourage, you know, kids to play multiple sports. You know, for a school, your athletes have to play the sports in order to be as good as you can be. So we try to promote you know, multi-sport athletes. We try to promote just pride in their name, and just the commitment level, you know, putting the team first, being part of a team, learning to work as a team. You know, we know that as they move on, I mean, we're trying to build young men.
Gotcha.
You know,
Absolutely.
We're trying to build good husbands and good fathers, and that commitment level that they've got to reach as part of a team is only going to help them later in life. And so it's really, you know, when they get out of this place and they move on into a career or whatever they choose to do, just having tools that they've learned with us as far as hard work, as far as dedication and working as a team, will help them as they move on forward in life. And so, you know, that's the overall goal, you know, in high school is to build great young men. You know, I knew a coach that had a saying that how you do anything is how you do everything. And so, you know, we just try to create those good habits in everything that they do, and just encourage that. And like I said, relationships, you know, and through relationships, you build a lot. That's what high school sports is about. It's building relationships that last a lifetime. And then earning respect. You know, you got to earn respect in your region, in your county, you know, and then statewide. and then developing a reputation. What kind of reputation do you want to have, as a program? And, these guys have an opportunity to start something special. We're just looking forward to them, buying in and doing what it takes. But as far as, for parents and the community, we want to go out and represent White Plains the way that it needs to be represented, and know that, our kids are going to go out there and give it everything they got, play as a team, play discipline, hard-nosed. And so that's really what we want out of our program.
Well said. A couple more questions, Coach. I know this one's running a little long, but we want to get everybody caught up. Coach, it's game week. I mean, I know this thing's flown by. I mean, you know what I mean? It's probably a little like lightning speed for you and your staff, but you got Talladega, correct? And I know we don't have any game film, so to speak. You may have a little bit, but what do you expect out of that bunch, and how are you getting your guys ready for this week?
Well, it is. It's game week, and this will be the first game, and so it's going to be exciting to see how our guys react, where they're at from where they've been coached up to now. We'll actually be able to get some full game film after Friday, and we'll be able to see, what needs to be corrected. This is the first run for us, and so, a lot of unexpecteds, things like that. But, Talladega's got a really good football team. I know they played really well in the spring game against Sylacauga. Coach Dorsey's doing a great job over there, and they're very athletic. They got some really good playmakers and some good speed in some places. Got some good linemen. So we know they're going to be a really good team, and I'm just anxious to see how we go out and compete. And so it should be a really good game.
Coach, before I let you out of here, talk about some of the guys on your offense that you got to kind of looking forward to be leaders and lead this offense for you.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, of course, you start at quarterback. Crew Martin is back for us. He's a junior this year. He started all the games last year as a sophomore, so, he was able to get some experience. And so looking some good things, out of Crew. We've got, a couple linemen that are back from last year. Hudson Inglesby, big guy, 6'7", 290. He's done really well, one of our leaders, one of our captains. And Logan Lobby, a senior, also one of our captains. That's we're expecting a lot of big things from. Both those guys will play some on both sides of the ball. Bryson Cheatwood, another one of our captains, he's kind of does it all for us. Wide receiver, DB, does some kicking for us. He's going to have to really step up. Hayden Barksdale, another senior, wide receiver, safety for us. Those guys, Will Graham. Those guys are kind of, some guys that are back from last year, that are going to have to really help lead us as we go. The guys that have a little bit of experience, we've got a lot of young guys. We don't have very many seniors on the team this year. We're pretty young, and so a lot of those young guys are going to be thrown in the fire early. Hopefully those seniors will help lead us through the first part till those guys can get some snaps under their belt and feel a little more comfortable.
100%. Let's flip that thing over and talk about defense now, Coach, if you don't mind.
Yeah, defensively, you look at, we got Barksdale at safety. He's back from last year. Really on the defensive line, Lobby's, I think, the only, returning starter from there. Linebackers, Taylor Brown, he's back from last year. And so we've got some guys back, but we've got a lot of young guys and a lot of new guys that's going to be stepping into some of those roles. And so, really just being able to get that experience in game. We got to play games. We need to play games, and hopefully we'll continue to get better each and every week. Learn from our mistakes. I think most of the mistakes that we've been making are correctable, which is good. Just going out there and playing hard and learning from week to week through film study and all the things. Just, we got to get better each and every week. And so, just looking for those little things, those little victories along the way during the week, on Friday nights, learning how to get those, and that will lead to bigger victories and things down the road. So, that's one thing we're really looking for.
And what I like to always call the X factor, special teams. They can win you games, they can lose you games. Yeah. Who are you looking forward to really stepping up in that?
I think we're pretty solid with our kicking game. We have Bryson Cheatwood who does a really good job kicking for us. We also have Bruce Downey, who's another guy that's that does some kicking for us. I think that from a PAT field goal standpoint, hopefully, from a punting standpoint, and I think hopefully, we can get the ball in the end zone on kickoffs, which takes a lot of pressure off your defense and
Yes.
your kickoff team if you can get them starting on the 20-yard line every time. So, feel pretty good about our special teams. We just need reps. We need game reps, and so that's going to be the biggest key for us.
No doubt, Coach. Normally they don't run this long, but we had to catch everybody up on what's been going on, and I appreciate your time taking out for this.
I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it. I think this is great for White Plains and our community, and appreciate our sponsors for bringing this.
Absolutely. S&H Waterproofing and Construction, as always. Those guys helping us out. Robert, Jack, and those guys do a really good job for us. And Coach, we'll be back here each and every week for the fans. They can have a consistent voice for you there. And anytime you have any kind of message or anything you need to let us know, we're going to take care of it for you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.